Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a very overwhelming video to share with you today. Hopefully it won't be overwhelming for you because hopefully you will feel a little bit better about your whip situation after you watch this video. I'm going to be sharing with you all the whips that I currently have, and it's a lot. So buckle in, grab a project or a snack, and stay tuned because I've got quite a bit. And honestly, I feel like there's probably more hiding somewhere. So I hope you enjoy whip videos. And actually, these are honestly all projects that I'm currently actively wanting to finish for the most part. There might be one in here that I am not going to finish. So, anyway, let me know, how many whips do you currently have? Does having too many whips stress you out? I've mentioned before that it used to not stress me out. Well, let's back up. It did used to stress me out way back in the day. And then I kind of, when I first started my channel, I didn't stress as much just because, you know, having this channel, you kind of have an excuse to have a lot of whips because then I have a lot to show you. But now as time has gone on and I'm feeling, you know, the pressure of all these whips, I'm feeling a little more overwhelmed. So I definitely like to narrow some of this down, but my problem is there's so much else I want to start, and I do have start-itis. I really love the feeling of starting a new project, and I love the feeling of finishing a project. But the in-between is a little bit more difficult for me. So that is why in recent years, a lot of things that I gravitate to are now shorter projects. And you will notice that most everything that I have to show you today is a longer project, and that should explain why they are still whips. So, real quick, my name is Kristen. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, I'm so glad that you're here. I post all kinds of yarn and crochet content, so if you are into that kind of thing, I would hope that you would subscribe. And I would like to say thank you to all of my current subscribers, people who are returning. I'm so happy to have you in my community. So let's get started. The first thing I want to show you is one of my very favorite projects, and it is actually the oldest whip on my channel. So I started this at the very, very beginning of my channel over 2 years ago, and it is a Mosaic blanket. And this blanket is by MJ's Off the Hook Designs. I'm going to briefly mention the creator of the pattern. If I can't remember the name, I will do some research. And all the patterns that I can find that are still available will be linked in the description if you're interested in them. So this is by MJ's Off the Hook Designs. I am using, I believe it is a Pound of Love yarn for the gray, and then this Red Heart Melange 100% acrylic yarn here. So it's in the color Hollywood. I'm not sure if you can still get that. I used to be able to get it at Hobby Lobby. I don't think they sell it there anymore. So this is what I have so far. And I love this pattern. This is just beautiful. I feel like, in my opinion, it reminds me of stained glass. Here's a little bit of a close-up of those colors. I just think it's a very unique colorway. But each row takes so long to crochet because you are using drop stitches. So you are dropping down. So if you can see here, each row is honestly shorter than a regular single crochet. So it's growing not by much. If I turn it around here, which I think the back of Mosaic is beautiful too, then you can see how much each yarn is growing, or each row, sorry, is growing. So it is a very long, time-consuming blanket. Also, I want to mention, this is the skein I'm currently using. I did order another skein of this pretty soon after I started this project, and it is slightly different in color, and it feels slightly scratchier. So, you know, honestly, I think that this blanket is not going to be as big as I originally intended. That I am probably going to use up what I have and let that be it. So however long it gets, I just want it to be I've decided I just want it to be more of like a, you know, sitting on the couch, just cover your legs type blanket. So, yeah, but this is one of my very favorite projects, and I do really enjoy working on it, but I can only kind of handle doing a few rows of it at a time, because even though it's not hard, you just have to focus so intensely to make sure you don't mess up, and it just takes a lot of brain power that I don't always have. So there's that one. I guess the next thing I'll quickly talk about is my temperature blanket. I won't go much into detail about this because I've talked a lot about it, but if you're interested in hearing more about my temperature blanket, I do have a temperature blanket playlist that you can find several videos about my temperature blanket. I also have decided to do lives every couple weeks where I work on it while I kind of chat with you guys. So I did my first one a couple weeks ago, so I'm due for another one. But I am in the month of September 2023 on this blanket. It's definitely been more slow going than I thought, but again, that's okay. I'm going to continue it. I have a hair, there we go, until I finish it. And so that's that. Again, if you are interested in hearing more about like the stitch I'm using, the colors I'm using, all those details, you can find that in that playlist, which I will also link below. So, 2 blankets down. I guess let's keep going with the blanket theme. So, I have this scrap blanket that I started quite a long time ago. If you don't know, I have a tutorial on my channel that I will also link below. That is a scrap blanket tutorial. There's many different ways to do a scrap blanket, but I kind of just show you the way that I do mine. And I've kind of switched it up a couple times with the different scrap blankets I've made. So I have that one that I completed. I have one that I'm sitting on right now that I intended to be as big as the first one, but I actually decided to finish that one off a little bit soon, and I actually have it folded up on my little stool that I use, and I sit on it, and it honestly looks really cute on this stool. It matches the yarn here, so it's always seated right here in this area, and I just like the way it looks like that. So I don't traditionally use it as a blanket, but more as sort of like a decoration. And then here is my third one that I've started. So with this one, I've done, like I said, each of them a little bit different. On that first one that I did the tutorial of, I held a strand of white throughout, and then I held a second color along with it, and used that color for a couple rows and then switched, but I kept the white throughout. The one that I have that I'm sitting on, if I can talk, I did not hold a solid strand throughout. I just did different colors and different variations. It's kind of hard to explain. With this one, I kind of just went free for all, like switching it whenever I want to, still held 2 strands together. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason except that I'm kind of doing 2 different colors per row. So I'm doing like 1 row, if that makes sense. Where in the other blankets, I've done blocks of color, of the same color, where now it's changing up every row. So not very far along on this one. But again, I have a whole bucket over here of like yarns that I use for scrap blankets. So at some point, I'm sure I will work on that again. It's just not a top priority. And then I also have, so that's 3 blankets, if you're counting. And then I also have this scrap blanket slash scarf. So this time I decided to hold a strand of black instead of white to kind of see how that looks. And I do like it. I don't love it, but I like it. And I can't remember if it was this one, honestly, or this one that I was trying to do a scarf with. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to end up as another scrap blanket, if I'll ever finish it as a scarf. I don't know. It's just another one of those scrap projects. This scarf is a corner-to-corner scarf. And I got pretty far into it, honestly. And this is a Hobby Lobby yarn. I cannot remember the colorway, but my plan was just to crochet until I ran out of the skein. And So I love the color transitions of this. It is pastels, and I just think it's really pretty. In the corner to corner stitch, it really shows off the color transitions. So to be honest, I don't know if this scarf would be long enough to loop around the way I would want it to, with just using this skein. And this is one of the projects that I'm just not sure if I'm going to finish it up or not. So we will see on this one. I'd like to finish it through, but I'm just not sure. So, and I could always go and buy another skein of this colorway. I'm pretty sure they still have it. So, yeah, we'll see on this one, but there's that. So now we have 3-4-ish blankets. Again, I think one of these was intended for a scarf, so maybe 2 scarves for whips, a few blankets. So this is a Mosaic pillowcase that I did using the retro stripe yarn by Red Heart, one of my favorite colorways. I just think it's a really fun neon rainbow, and I really love the way that this looks. Here's the back of it. Again, I love the back of Mosaic crochet. So here's where I ran into an issue. I honestly finished that pretty quickly because it was I was super invested in seeing how the colors worked out. But when I started on the back is when I ran into an issue. So I decided to do the back with the retro stripe in single crochet because I just wanted to see what the color transitions would look like with this in single crochet. So I did several rows of that and realized how long it was taking, switched over to I think half double crochet, but then that looked kind of weird with the 2 stitches, so I ended up ripping that out and continuing on with single crochet. And so if I hold these together here, another issue that I'm having is because this is single crochet, completely single crochet, it's a lot tighter of a fabric that it's creating. And so when you stretch it out, it does match the width of the pillow. You can see there, but you have to stretch it out. Whenever you let it sit for a while, it does not. So I'm really hoping that it works out when I go to sew it. But I am close to halfway maybe done with the back panel. Yeah, about I guess a third of the way. So again, this is a pretty old whip that I've had for quite a while, and I really want it to be finished, but it's so hard for me to sit there and work on that just because it's single crochet, and I get really burnt out on that, unfortunately, unless I'm doing amigurumi. So again, at some point I will finish this. I definitely want this done. I think it's so cute. I think it's very bright and colorful, which is right up my alley. So one day it will be done. Okay, now we're going to move on to wearables. So I have a cardigan in the works that I haven't worked on in a long time. I'm too embarrassed to admit how long. My current wearable project that I am very invested in finishing, and actually I'm very close to finishing. It's more of a quicker type project, even though I have been working on it way longer than I should have. It's supposed to be a quicker project. And then I also have, I think, like a hat that I started in here. So 3 more things. So if we're counting, let's see, we have temperature blanket, mosaic blanket, 2 scrap blankets / scarves, another scarf, that's 5. My mosaic pillowcase, that's 6. And then we have the cardigan, the shirt, and the hat. So that's 9 whips that I'm actively working on, and probably some abandoned somewhere in the chaos of the closet over there that I don't want to deal with right now. So I'm just going to show you the current one that I'm really excited about. This is a pattern by someone that I absolutely love her patterns. I've talked about her a million times, and it is Craft and a Cuppa. It's C-U-P-P-A, Craft and a Cuppa, and she is the one that I have followed her patterns for the Granny Hexagon cardigans. She does such an amazing job with her video tutorials, and she loves bright and fun colors like I do. So her patterns are right up my alley. She goes super duper duper in depth, very easy to follow, Highly recommend. I will link her channel in the description. This is her boho top, and I'm so excited because this pattern has allowed me to finally find use for some of my Hobby Lobby clearance yarn from previous years. This is the Yarn Bee Cotton DK in Mustard, and it is like a wavy cotton yarn. It is a 3 lightweight yarn. One thing I like about her patterns is that you can use any yarn size, any yarn type, any hook, and she shows you how to customize it and make it to fit you. So that to me is amazing. I actually started this pattern in a different yarn and then decided I didn't like the way it was turning out and chose this yarn, and I think it's perfect. So I'm so excited to have finally found a pattern for this. Okay, so this is like a boho top, and basically, I'm pulling the stitches out. Basically, it is like a cropped, you don't have to make it cropped. She tells you, you know, how to not do that. It's not cropped as in like show your belly button, but it's cropped as in hit you right at the waist. And I really like that length. So it is going to be a front panel, a back panel, and then it has some like short little sleeves and some fringe on the sleeves. So here is the back panel. So there is that. She has like these window stitches. I love the way the cotton yarn looks in the pattern, that wavy texture. Here's where it's about gonna hit me, if you can see that. So like right at the waist area. So I really like that length. I think it's gonna be super cute when it's done. And then I've also gotten, I'm pulling out the stitches and it's driving me nuts. I'm trying to be careful, but okay, so then I'm about this far into the front panel, and on this side you do it a little bit shorter, and then you add rows to do the neckline. You do those a little bit differently. So I just have to finish this and sew them together, add the little sleeves and the fringe, and we'll be done. So I'm really close to getting this done, and that's kind of primarily what I've been working on lately. So I love working on more of a summery type project for a wearable because I've done a lot of like wintry fall cardigans, but not a lot of spring summery ones. This is one that I've done by MJ's Off the Hook Designs that is more of a spring one. And so honestly it has kind of that same vibe as the other one with those big spaces in them. I really love this. This has become one of my favorite cardigans for sure. But I haven't made a lot of more spring summery stuff, so I'm excited to have that. And then here is another cardigan. This is a granny hexagon cardigan. Again, I always use Craft and Cuppa's pattern, and this is the Karen Colorama Halo, and it's in this beautiful yellow ombre color. I finished one panel of this. There is that, and I was gonna make this one a little more cropped, I think was my plan. So there's the first panel, and this is a very soft yarn. I really enjoy working with it. And then this is all I have done of the second one, so not much. And then once you do the panels, you sew them together, you add some like extending rows, and then you decide what kind of sleeves you want. She gives you the option of like flowy and open or cinched at the wrist. And so I'm not sure what I'll end up doing with that, but I do definitely want to finish this. So that is the 8th whip. The last whip, to be honest, I can't remember what pattern this is, but it is a beanie, and I know for sure it's by Bag O' Day. I just can't remember what the pattern actually is, and I have made this pattern before. I have like a burnt orange colored hat with this same pattern. I just cannot remember the name of it. I will try to find it and link it, but I know for sure it's a Bag O' Day pattern. And this is like a stretchy like nylon yarn that I got on clearance at Hobby Lobby a few years ago. I have a couple other colors somewhere down here. Here we go. The Comfy Classic is what it is by Yarn Bee. So I just really like the, I feel like this is not gonna pill very easy. So I just thought I'd try it out with the hat. I'll finish this at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, there you go. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope that if you have a lot of whips and you're kind of feeling bad about it, that you feel a little comforted knowing that you're not alone. I feel like a lot of us probably have a lot of whips. If you are the kind of person that only has one whip at a time or a couple whips at a time, I admire you. I think that that is great, and I admire your perseverance. Again, as you can tell, most of these projects are bigger, time-consuming projects, and that is what I found I struggle with a lot. I just get a little burnt out and have to take a break. So of course this isn't as bad as it could be. I'm sure there are people out there that have 20 plus whips. And again, I probably have more whips stashed away somewhere. But I think we shouldn't stress too much. This is our hobby. And, you know, as long as it's not just overrunning your space, then, you know, I think it's okay. As long as it's not absolutely just literally driving you crazy. But I definitely want to be mindful of how much I have, and I definitely love these projects and want to see them to completion. So we will see how many of these I end up finishing this year. I think it'll be interesting to see if I can finish them all this year, if I finish a couple this year, or how that goes. You never know. You never know what life's going to bring you. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it interesting. I'd love to know how many whips you have. I'm just curious. No shame from me. If you have more or less, I'd just love to hear and chat with you in the comments. The verse I want to read to you today, it's a couple verses. It's from the book of James, chapter 1, and it is verses 22 and 23. It says, "But be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in a mirror, for he looks at himself and goes away and at once forgets what he was like." And then I'll go on one more verse. "But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed in his doing." And I think this is a good reminder for all of us, because I think especially after you've been a Christian for a while and you're active in church and you read the Bible and stuff, you know, we've heard a lot of these things a lot of times. And that is a good thing, because we want to continually get those things in our heart. But sometimes I know I'm guilty of this. I found myself, you know, taking it in, hearing it, but not doing some of the things that I know I should be doing. And so I think that this is just a good reminder that just hearing God's word, while that is a good thing, that is not what the word is only for. It is meant for us to hear it, receive it, and act on it. And so just a reminder today that if there are things that you know that you need to act on, then just do it. You know, a lot of things that we have been choosing not to act on, it can be a little scary to think of doing some of these things or stopping doing some of these things. I'm trying not to be super specific because everybody's situation is different, but I think you know when there's something you should be doing or should stop doing to help yourself better align with what God's word is telling you to do. I know that's true for me. So I pray that today we would just not only hear God's word, but that we would receive it, we would act on it, we would be doers of the word, that we would not be like people who look in a mirror and walk away and forget what we look like, that we would get it deep in our heart and make it a part of who we are, not just a part of who we are, but who we are, that we are God's children and we act and do good acts out of our thankfulness to God for his salvation through grace and faith. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that today. I pray that God blesses you. I pray that you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you super soon in the next one. Bye.